Welcome back. Welcome back. Thursday night show. Come on in. Hit that like button. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. Make sure when you come on in, you participate in that poll as well. How is your box truck or cargo van business doing at the moment? So far, we got 11 votes. 18% said they're failing. 9% said they're breaking even. And 73% said they're winning. All right, so we got another vote now. So it's 17% failing, 17% breaking even, and 67% said they are winning. So 12 votes, 67%. I think that's 8 people. So 2 people said they're failing, 2 people said they're breaking even. That's 4, and then 8 people said they're winning. So that's about 67. So that's 12 votes, if my math serves me correctly. So come on in, make sure you participate in that poll. Hit that like button as you come on in and let me know where you are checking in from. We're going to get this show on the road too. We're not going to beat around the bush tonight because I want to check out KD tonight for that late game. And I want to get in the bed early. Tonight we're going to be talking about fixing your failing business. Fixing your failing business, and the top reason box truck businesses are failing. All right, so I'm going to give you the top 8 reasons I think most box truck businesses are failing at the current moment. And then I'm going to give you some tips to turn your business around. These tips can be used for any business. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in, but they will help turn your box truck business around. So we're going to talk about the reasons why people are failing, and then I'm going to give you some tips on turning things around. So come on in, hit that like button, let me know where you are checking in from. Monday night, this upcoming Monday, which is the 15th, we're going to have a good show this upcoming Monday for the Wise Men podcast. We are going to have, I guess I can pull it up here. Let me pull it up. Let me share my screen. Give me a second here. Where's the share button? Share screen. All right, so Monday night we are going to do we're going to have an episode. We're going to have a broker on. We're going to have a broker who's going to be blowing the whistle. We are going to have a broker who is going to be blowing the whistle and exposing the inside secrets of freight brokerage. All right, so we're going to be talking to a whistleblower Monday. We are going to conceal his identity so that this guy can keep his job. So we're gonna conceal his identity. So we'll be having a conversation with him, but we're not gonna show you him. He's not gonna have his video on, just his audio, and we're gonna refer to him, using an alias. So make sure you guys tune in Monday for the Wise Men podcast. For that, I think a lot of people will be able to get some good information from that. Seeing that a lot of people complain about brokers, now is your chance to come and listen to a broker on a platform in the flesh talk about how they get over, talk about how they be getting over on y'all. So make sure y'all hit Monday for that. All right, let's do this roll call real quick so we can get up into this thing. Make sure you come on and hit that like button. Let us know where you're checking in from. We got DeWalk in the building as usual. I see Kirk in here. Kirk, what's up? Aaron Anderson, Milwaukee in the building. Who else? Warrior Express Transport is in the building. Alabama in the building. Mr. Muhammad, Memphis 10. Memphis 10 is in the building. Memphis Tennessee is in the building. Mark Brown, what is good? Peace, 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 peace. Akeem Payton in the building representing ATL. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook. I'm still trying to figure out, I know how to do it, but Instagram hasn't given me my stream key yet. I'm still waiting on Instagram to give me my stream key, and I'm still waiting on TikTok to give me my stream key. Once Instagram gives me a stream key and TikTok gives me a stream key, I'll be able to stream live from there too. So I'll be streaming from those platforms simultaneously as well. So shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook. We got Memphis in the building, Son of Light. What is up? North Carolina in the building. We got 3E3, North Carolina in the building. Virginia's in the building. VA's in the building. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about, we got Philly in the building. Make sure you guys come on in, hit the like button, let me know where you're checking in from, and participate in that poll just so I get an idea of what's going on out there, because it seems like so many people are failing, but yet I'm looking at this poll. 57% is saying they're winning, 29% is breaking even, and 14% is saying they're failing. I know the room is building up, so we'll see how the poll plays out at the end. But make sure you come on in, hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button. Young world, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? You checking in live from the box shot. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. All right, let's get right into it. We ain't going to hold y'all up. How to turn a failing business around. Top 8 reasons box truck businesses fail. So we're going to get into this. I think I'm going to start with, let's start with the top 8 reasons. My top 8 reasons why I think, my top 8 reasons why I know box truck businesses fail. Skip that why I know box truck businesses fail, and any business, a lot of businesses for that matter. So then what we'll do is we'll follow up quickly with how to turn a failing business around. All right, so let's get into it. Top 8 reasons box truck businesses fail. My number one reason box truck businesses fail is lack of business skills, and this is something that I talk about all the time. Lack of business skills. Now, not everyone went to business school for business. I understand that. But if you desire to be a business owner, when you go around talking about you got your LLC and all of that, there's a great responsibility that you have to associate with having that LLC or that S Corp. You can't just go around and telling people I got my LLC, right? And not do the proper work in educating yourself on how to run and sustain a business. All right, it's not as simple as, okay, I came up on some money, I've been wanting to go start this business, let me go invest this money into this business, and now I got a business. No, you got to do the education on how to open and operate, sustain, and manage a business. It's a lot to it. And I don't think that a lot of people have taken the time or take the time to do that. And the reason why I know is because I talk to people all the time. I talk to people in the DMs. I talk to people on coaching sessions. I talk to people through the chat. And some of the stuff that people be saying is outlandish to me. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, some of the things that I hear, but then I have to pinch myself and you be like, you know what? This person really isn't knowledgeable in business. All right. So that's the one reason, the main reason, the number one reason. Forget your cost per mile. Forget all that technical stuff that pertains specifically to trucking. The first thing you need to know, you need to educate yourself, is how to run a business. How to run a business. I say it all the time. If you educate yourself on how to run a business from start to finish, you can run any business. I get the same examples: trucking, a restaurant, a clothing store, lemonade stand. I don't care what it is, ice cream stand. All right. You need to educate yourself on how to run a business. Many box truck owner operators may have experience in driving and hauling. A lot of guys come from working from someone else, whether it be another independent owner operator or a company, but they may not have the business skills necessary to run a successful operation of their own. I've seen it happen firsthand where I've had people that have come up under my tutelage. And when I say under my tutelage, not meaning that I was tutoring and mentoring them to duplicate what I was doing while they were working for me. They thought that because they saw me doing it, it had to be simple. This is something that me and Kirk talk about. This is something that we discussed the other day on the podcast when we had Cooley up. Cooley asked a question pertaining specifically to our culture. You know what I'm saying? And then I answered it and I said crab in the barrel mentality, and we do everything to pull us down and not uplift us. Same thing. People see, if you see someone from another culture doing something, right, that's on a high level, we just look at it like, okay, that's what it's supposed to be. That's how it always been, and you accept it. But when you see somebody of a specific culture doing something that's on a high level, sometimes people think, well, if he's doing it, I could do it too. And that's not the case. It's not the case. Business owners, successful business owners, a successful business owner, no matter what race, color, or creed they come from. It's a person that has taken the time to do the due diligence, research their business, do a business plan, educate themselves on business to become successful. So when I say I saw it firsthand, I've seen people that have come up under my tutelage, people that were working for me, thought that they could duplicate what I did, and they didn't even last a year. In 6 months, both of those guys were back working for old Marky Mark. And I've told the stories a couple times, right? So you have to understand and have the necessary skills, educate yourself to obtain the necessary skills on how to run a successful business. Without a strong understanding of basic business principles. And when I'm saying basic business principles, I'm talking about the basic business principles. A lot of people don't even take the time to understand or educate themselves on the basic business principles, such as marketing, financial management. We can stop on financial management because back in February and March, I focused those 2 months on cash flow, taxes, things that for a business to sustain, because a lot of people were having a hard time sustaining. And what I found out when I was focusing on that at the time, because when I was putting out that type of content and doing those types of live streams, I started getting coaching sessions based around that. And a lot of people just didn't have, I talked to people who were paying their drivers with Cash App. I talked to people who didn't have any financial plan, no books, no record keeping, no nothing. No nothing. And then this is where I started pushing my content back to, okay, these guys don't know nothing. They don't have any structure. So then that's when I said, all right, we got to take it back to, I got to forget talking about Boxtra. I got to teach these people how to run a business in general. And then that's when you saw my content going to how to make a business plan and showing people how to start and run a business from the ground up. All right. So financial management, customer service, not so much for middle mile. Well, it can, because you have a different type of customer, but in this aspect, we're talking about, let's say, a moving company, customer service with final mile too, because the 3PL is your customer and the final mile customer who you're delivering to is your customer. Middle mile, you're servicing a customer on the receiving end. You can consider your broker as a customer as well. You can consider your shipper as a customer. So communication between all the parties that are involved in moving whatever product that you're moving, it can be challenging to build and sustain a profitable business. If you don't have basic business skills, ultimately you're going to fail eventually. Some people are out here winging it. They're getting by. A lot of people were winging it during the pandemic because it was just, the rates were so high. So people were getting by without really knowing what they were doing. And then as soon as things started to correct themselves and brain functionality had to come into play, people became lost. You see what I'm saying? Then the fundamentals of knowing how to run and operate and sustain a business came into play, and people just didn't have this stuff. And then they got to scrambling. All right. So lack of business skills is the number one reason most box truck businesses fail. All right. Number 2, personal factors. Running a business can be challenging and requires a significant investment of time and effort. Box truck owner operators may struggle to balance their work and personal life, leading to burnout and decreased productivity. Something else we talk about. Personal. All right. Talk to a lot of people, wanted to come into the box truck business, middle mile, right? Middle mile, it's going to take a lot of time away. It's going to take a lot of your personal time away. All right. It's going to take a lot of your personal time away. It's going to take a lot of your home time away. Final mile is going to take a lot of your personal time away too, because you're going to spend 10, 12, 13, 14-hour days delivering furniture and appliances. All right. You're going to have less time at home. You're going to have more time out in the field. All right. You get to sleep at home in your bed, but still it's a lot of time. Now, the problem is a lot of people don't have the work ethic that it takes in the initial phases of starting a business to really get that business off the ground. People want that success. They want to tell that success story, but that success story doesn't come, the first year off the inception of the business. That success story comes years down the line, and in order to get to a point where you can tell that success story, you first got to do the work. You first have to do the work. Because when you're telling that success story years down the line, one of the major components that you're going to include in that success story to be able to tell the story, to begin with in the first place, is that you had to work hard, especially at the beginning. The second reason why I believe a lot of businesses fail, because they're too busy worried about things that don't got nothing to do about their business. They're worried about what this person's doing. They worry about what's in this person's pocket. They worry about what's in that person's pocket. They're worrying about what that truck is doing, what he's doing, what they're doing, what the person here is saying, and what they're saying. Worrying about what their girl is doing at home, or what their guys is doing at home, or what their husband is doing at home, or what their wife, instead of focusing on that business. That business don't care about none of that. The business is a greedy son of a bitch. Excuse my language, but that's what the business is. The business has no feelings. The business is greedy. All the business wants to do is get money. That's it. The business don't care that your tummy hurts. The business is like, feed me money every day. So initially, when you're starting a business, what I'm seeing is people let personal factors get in the way of them getting out and getting to the bag. So the younger generation would say, or getting to the money. We say getting to the money. We got to get to the money. The money now is the bag. All right. So I'm getting to the money, getting to the bag. People let personal things, listen, anybody that I've been in a relationship with will tell you it was that money first. My OG will tell you that. My mama will tell you, I'm about my money. I don't care about nothing else. I'm going to get to the money. Why? Because I need it. It's a certain type of lifestyle I like to live. I like to eat certain things. I like to sleep comfortably on certain thread counts. You see what I'm saying? I like nice things. So I have to make money. Everything else is second. It was God's first. God's first. Okay. I apologize. God's first. Then it's money. Then it's everything else. Because the businesses is pulling me. Businesses are pulling me to get to the money. So I've never been the type of person to let personal things get in the way. And I think that's a key contributing factor to why I think a lot of people are failing. A lot of people don't want to go over the road, which is fine, whatever. But if you don't want to go over the road, then you have to find another avenue with your box truck that's going to make money. Okay, you don't want to go over the road. All right. It's more time consuming away from home, but less manual work. Okay, well, if you don't want to be away from home, then you're going to have to probably do a little bit more manual work. You're going to have to either do final mile where you're lifting, right? Because there's only so many lanes you could do with a box truck. There's more opportunity in the semi truck side. There's more lanes over there. Box truck, you're going to do Amazon, you're going to do middle mile, the load boards, you're going to do final mile, whether you're doing big and bulky or you're going to be doing curbside. That's about it. So if you're not going to go over the road, then you're going to either be doing 15, 20, 25 stops in and out of the truck doing curbside final mile, using your lift gate, using your pallet jack, or you're going to be carrying some furniture and some appliances, right? Or you're going to be doing Amazon, or you're going to be doing moving. So, it is what it is. You got to figure it out, but you can't let personal things get in the way. You decide that you want to become a business owner, so you're putting that business, if you believe in God, you're putting that business second in line to God. And I'm keeping it funky. Some people will say, no, my kids and my wife, and that's fine, to each his own. But at the end of the day, that business don't care about your wife or your kids. And I'm keeping it 1,000. Some people may get offended by what I'm saying, but it's the truth. The business is calling you. You decide to start a business. So that business is on your mind 24 hours a day. Business on my mind 24 hours a day. If you don't want business on your mind, even when you're not, you could be at home on a Sunday watching a football game. You running final mile. Your account doesn't run on Sunday. But at the end of the day, you're planning. You should be sitting there thinking while you're watching your favorite team play in your mind, man, how am I going to scale this business? How am I going to continue to grow this business? What's my 5-year plan? What's my 10-year plan? Business is a 24-hour thing. You decided to do it, right? So you have to take on all the mental responsibilities, the physical responsibilities that come along with it. You can't let personal things get in the way. You could have an excruciating stomach ache, but if you have a dedicated run and it's just you and your helper, right? You're just getting started, your first year, it's just you and your helper. You got the account, you're the owner operator, you got a helper, you're running final mile, your stomach is killing you. What are you going to tell that logistics company? I can't come in because my tummy hurts? Because this is what happens if you do that. And I'm not saying that, to each his own. I'm good with pain. You know what I'm saying? I've always been a good person. I've always been able to deal with pain. Not everybody can deal with pain, but I'm just using this for an example. If your stomach hurts, you got a helper that you pay, let's say, $175, $200 a day. He's depending on you to come to work so that he can make his $175, $200. Are you going to tell him, we ain't working today because my tummy hurts? So now your helper can't get paid, and now you're leaving the third-party logistics company flapping in the wind, and all those stops are going to be sitting on the dock. Just your first year. So you don't have the resources where you have an extra person or two on call to come in. You're getting it out the mud right now. You're getting it out the mud. So, situation like that, you have to wait. Man, I don't want to, because you're going to leave two people. You're going to leave more than two people. You're not just going to leave your helper, your employee hanging, or the third-party logistics company hanging. If it's 15 stops that you had sitting on that dock, that's 15 customers now that you leave it hanging. So you're leaving 17 people hanging that day. Unless that third-party logistics company can break that route down and dish it out to other contractors that are still on the dock that haven't left yet, that's 17 people you leaving hanging that day. So that's a situation where, man, you might have to go ahead and thug it out with that tummy. You have to take some Tums or something, go to the bathroom, try to get it up out you, whatever. I don't know. But you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to make a decision. And ultimately, the decision that I would make, if it's not around my appendix there, if it's a tummy ache because I know I ate too much the previous night or whatever you might have been drinking, then that's something you're going to have to thug out and just, man, on your route, when you get your route, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we going here. I'm going to have to map out where the nearest bathroom going to be at, man. The McDonald's, whatever. You have to do what you got to do, but let's move on. Economic factors. Now, this is something that we're currently dealing with. And this is my number 3 top 8 reasons why box truck businesses fail. Economic reasons. Some people just don't know how to maneuver through economic crisis, right? Box truck owner operators can be vulnerable to economic fluctuations such as recessions or slowdowns in the housing market. All right, I put the housing market because we're talking about, I'm speaking of all lanes. So housing market for, let's say, hot shots, housing market for the moving, if you're running a moving company in your box truck. But a housing market example of an economic slowdown can actually benefit you. It actually benefited me during the housing market crash of 2008, because by 2010, when people were losing their homes due to foreclosure, they had to move. And they had to hire moving companies. Moving companies and storage facilities were the biggest winners, I believe, as far as blue collar work in that time period, that really took advantage of that housing market recession. But recessions or slowdowns in the economy, the factors can reduce demand for services and put financial strain on businesses. So right now you see a volume decrease. You see a volume decrease because the federal government, the Fed, is trying to slow down the economy, right? So people aren't spending money on things that box truck owner operators need people to spend money on so that they can move it, right? People are spending more money right now in services. So an economic slowdown like we have now is affecting the industry, right? It's affecting the rates. It's affecting the volume, right? So in times like this, a skilled owner operator is going to maneuver. And we're talking about a person who's skilled. Let's not say someone who has tenure, who's been in the space for a while, who may have like paid off equipment, whose overhead costs may be lower. We're using these examples of person who has low, like minimal tenure, just got into the space within, let's say, the past 1 to 3 years. All right. Very new person into the space still. And this economic crisis that's going on now, this recession, because I believe we are in a recession. You don't know you're in a recession until the recession is over. So that's how you pinpoint a recession. All right. A recession is pinpointed once the recession ends, and then the analysts can go back and look at the charts to see when it starts. That's why when you watch the news, you hear people saying, we may be coming into a recession, or they say we may be in a recession, is because you can't determine a recession and when it started and if you're in it until it actually ends. And then that's when the analysts go back and look at the charts. All right. So right now we're in a recession, and a person with minimal tenure may find it hard to maneuver in the space because they just don't have the experience. A person who's been around for a while, they've seen situations like this before. There was a freight crisis in 2019. So a person who was able to sustain 2019, what's happening now, they saw this then. And then there was one, I believe, in 2016, right? So a person with experience knows how to maneuver because they've seen it before. So economic factors can be a strain to a novice box truck business owner. And then in that case, what a novice box truck business owner wants to do is educate themselves on the economy. Educate themselves on the economy. Just watching Mark ain't gonna help it. You need to be watching CNBC. You need to be watching MSNBC. All right. You need to be listening to the business analyst. All right. You need to be keeping up with Jerome Powell. You need to be keeping up with the upcoming presidential election. All right. All these things play into everything that's going on now, which includes the rates and the volume. You need to be keeping up with Russia and Ukraine. You need to be keeping up with what's going on with China. All these things play in. And then people wonder why I'm able to forecast as well as I am, because I'm watching and listening to everything. I'm watching and listening to everything. Because I understand all that plays a part. It all plays a part. Peak season. I told people, man, the freight is already here. The freight's been here for months, guys. But, people listen to other people saying, hey, well, whenever you ever seen a Christmas where kids didn't get toys, or whenever you ever seen people not shop on Christmas. And I said, well, that's fine and dandy, but the lane and how you make money for peak season, that the opportunity that a box truck owner has to make money during peak season, that time is already coming past because that freight is here. if anybody sees a peak season, it's going to be the final mile people. And sure enough, everything that I said came into fruition because they told you the freight was here. We're not ordering anything. We don't even have room for the stuff that we have now. So why are we going to order stuff when we don't even have room now? It was that simple, but people still wanted to go against me. And then when that time came, you saw it. So paying attention, listening to what's going on. People running Amazon, and Amazon blatantly said, listen, we're having a pop-up Prime in October because we need to clear some room. We just got too much stuff. And matter of fact, some of these facilities that we're building, we're just going to cease building. We're just going to turn them into storage. But yet and still, people that were hell-bent on Amazon just swore it was going to be a peak season when Amazon's telling you we're not ordered. We don't have room. So basically, everything is here, and the stuff that's here is pretty much just going to go for the final mile when people order it. But yet and still, people don't want to listen to Mark. But Mark listens to the powers that be. I'm paying attention to everything that's going on. And that's when I come up here and say these things, I can speak confidently, right? Because I'm getting this information out the horse's mouth. A lot of the information I'm getting out the horse's mouth, and sometimes I have to formulate my own opinion based on my experience, right? About 50, 60% of the time I have to formulate an opinion, right? But a lot of that opinion is based on the facts that the companies are giving me. So as a business owner, you have to become this savvy as well. And it takes time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But it's something that you need to do. I have people in my DM that follow the channel that send me news all the time on things. Hey, Mark, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Can you talk about this? They're talking about things that are coming up down the line. And we have these educated conversations in the DM. These are the people that are winning. Good business owners are mentally in the future. So when I be forecasting stuff, peak season, Amazon, the stuff that's going on now, everything that's going on now, I was telling you this was going to happen back then. Man, 2023 going to be a bust. No, Mark, they saying second quarter is going to get up. We in the second quarter now, damn near halfway through it. I said, no, 2023 going to be a bust. I'm about ready to say 2024 going to be a bust. But I'm paying attention to a few more things before I make that forecast. But these are the things that you need to, those people that hit me up in the DM and they send me all this stuff, those are the people that's winning because they're thinking in the future. The present, like it's people that's living in the moment. I'm not living in the moment. I lived in this moment 6 months ago. I was telling y'all what's going to happen now 6 months ago. That's when I was living mentally. I was in May 2023 and November 2022. I'm somewhere in December right now mentally, in January of 2024. I'm thinking about the presidential election. That's why you hear me talk about it all the time. Well, you know, we still got we need to see what's going to happen with Trump, you know, Buddy down in Florida, DeSantis, all these things. We got an immigration issue right now. There's a lot of new variables that are coming into play that I'm processing in my head. And this is what business owners need to do. All right. So economic, you got to be able to process things. You got to be able to understand what's going on in the economy. All right. High overhead costs. See how many people leave the room because they don't want to hear this stuff. But then when stuff happens, they want to come to Mark and ask me questions. And this one I won't be answering questions no more because people don't want to stick around for this boring stuff. And then this is why people can't figure out things. You see what I'm saying? What up, Young World? Make sure y'all hit that like button. Ohio in the building, Zupchuck in the building, MD in the building. All right, what's going on? What's going on? Let's talk about high overhead costs. Now, this is probably what people would thought would be number one, but actually this is number 4 because everything that I said before to me weighs. I weigh it heavier than high overhead costs because those are well understanding business, it's more fundamental, personal, and personal. If you just if personal things are getting in the way of you running a business, you just should go get a job. You know what I'm saying? So, and economic things, I think some people just aren't going to have the acumen or the savviness to maneuver around, because economic things can, it's a little bit, I don't want to say advanced, but you got to process that like more on an intermediate level. It's not from a beginner standpoint. High overhead costs, this is something that I think can be prevented from the inception of a business, but a lot of people who don't take the time and just enter into an industry or into a business ignorant, they put themselves in this position. All right. So box truck business requires significant upfront costs, including the purchase or leasing of a vehicle and maintenance costs. If the business doesn't guarantee enough revenue to cover these expenses, it can quickly become unprofitable. We've talked about this plenty of times. All right. Plenty of times. And I think, there was a time a few years ago where people were just getting into this business with high overhead costs, just unknowingly and just ignorant, not taking the time to really understand what they were doing, what they were buying, and what they were paying for it. But the trend that I'm seeing now is people that are coming in, they've been so hell bent and so, anxious to get into this space that when the time comes where the funds become available or whatever happens, that they can now get into the business, and then they go to start acquiring their equipment and stuff, and then they see the rates, the interest rates, or the truck costs, whatever it is. Mentally, they know what they're getting into because they've been following the channel, they've been listening to Kurt. They know what they're getting into is probably not something that they should be getting into. They should shop around, but they do it anyway. They keep their fingers crossed. They say things like, God is going to pull me through and stuff like that. And God is going to pull you through. But at the end of the day, people fail every day. And God is real. So, you know what I'm saying? God is real, but people fail every day. So at the end of the day, I think people put themselves into a position of high overhead costs. And I'm not going to dwell too much on this because we talk about it over all the time. And this is just something as simple as knowing whatever lane you're going into, already having a plan, knowing what you need to make in order to be able to sustain and to grow your business. You have to profit in order to grow, right? And if you're already in business and you're fighting high overhead costs, then you have to aggressively figure out ways to decrease your costs. All right, maintenance and repair costs. Another issue that puts a lot of people out of business because they just don't have the cash flow, whether they don't have it initially from when they start their business or within the course of their business to battle maintenance and repair costs when they arise. All right, things are going to happen. You're running a truck, especially if you're running middle mile. All right, you're gonna, and what's running final mile. When I think back over all the years, I've never had excessive maintenance. It's always been ticky-tack stuff, water pump, tie rods, things like that, brakes. None major. I've never had any powertrain issues. Starter here, starter there. I've had some catalytic converters stole off some 16-footers before. Fuel pump, radiators, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? When you're running OTR, it's a different ball game because you're running the truck a little bit harder over the road. Final mile, you're hauling heavier, but you're not running it as hard as a truck that's running over the road. You're running that truck hard, all right? And then when things break down, you may be in the middle of nowhere. And with that breakdown running OTR, those costs are a lot more excessive, right, than they are if you are local. You got to get a tow. You may have to have a mobile roadside repairman come out. And we don't have to get into what those hourly charges are. They're charging you to travel. They're charging you a travel fee to and from you, and they're charging you an excessive mobile repair. You know what I'm saying? You may have to get towed. You may be in the middle of nowhere. So a lot of people succumb to this, right? Because they don't have the capital to maintain and repair. Initially, if you're coming in and you don't have a nest egg, right? Enough cash flow, enough capital, working capital, not cash flow. Coming in, you're going to need some working capital because you never know. You might get started and within the first week, you may have a breakdown. You haven't even made any money yet. Or within the first month, you may have a breakdown. You really haven't made any money yet. And if you don't have any working capital, right, for a situation like this, initially, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen within the past year that I've been on YouTube. Fresh out the gate, somebody starts their business, has a breakdown within the first 30 days because they didn't have enough working capital. They just had enough capital to get into the space. And boom, something bad like that happens, they're out. Or a person who's already been up and running for some time now, but they're not managing their books properly. They don't know how to pay themselves correctly. They don't have any cash flow. And then when something happens, they don't have any money. They've been operating 6-7 months, a year, and something happens. They don't even have enough money to get a tow. So now they're calling back home, right? They're calling around. They're trying to get an advance from the factory. You know what I'm saying? All this goofball stuff. Oh, I gotta hit a button. I got a new button because that's goofball stuff, right? Hold on, I got a new button.
Yo, goof ass.
That's, you see what I'm saying? You're running all this time and you don't have any cash flow. I'm talking to the person that's been running a long while, and they've been paying themselves and robbing from the sustainability of the business.
Goofy as hell.
You goofy as hell. There's no reason a person should be running for a year and a half, 2 years, and the truck breaks down and they don't have a thou wow to get a tow. Or they can't get the truck fixed. All right. So that's another major reason. Robbing from the sustainability of the business, basically not knowing how to pay yourself. Paying yourself what's left over instead of putting money in the kitty for cash flow to carry the business over, right? They've been paying themselves with that and tricking it off because they think that money belongs to them. When really a portion of that money belongs to the business so that the business can sustain. Because when something like that happens, the business should have money to repair itself. A lot of people go out of business that way. So that's number 5. Lack of market research. Something that I've been talking about recently, which goes back into the inception of your business when you're doing your business plan and you're doing your market analysis. All right. Before starting a box your business, it's essential to conduct proper market research. This includes analyzing the demand for services in your area. This is something I did a whole live a few weeks ago. We talked about low density, high density. And, here and there, I've been talking about, knowing your market. Where do you live? Are you in a big city? Are you in a small city? Are you somewhere out in rural middle America somewhere? I've talked to people that were in middle America that didn't do a market analysis. Went out, spent all the money, got their truck, got their van, couldn't find nothing, and then coming to me like, man, Mark, I can't find nothing. First thing I say, well, man, did you do your market analysis? What's that? Where do you live? Timbuktu, Iowa somewhere. Some stuff I ain't never heard of and nobody's never heard of. Population of 3,000 people. Ain't nothing near you. What do you think you finna do final mile in Timbuktu, Iowa? Or Amazon? I thought I was going to do Amazon. Man, ain't no Amazon near you. It's only 3,000 people in your town. You think they're going to build a multi-million-dollar, million square foot facility near you for what? Nah, we just going to outsource that. That's where them guys coming from Des Moines or Boise, they got them box truck guys driving out there in the middle of the night, dropping off to them post offices, and them post offices are going to deliver to them little bitty towns. That's what they got them Amazon relay box truck night guys doing, driving all the way out into no man's land, dropping off at the post office so the post office can run that stuff middle mile. Right? So this includes analyzing the demand for service in your area, identifying your target audience, and understanding the competition. A lack of market research can result in failure to attract customers to compete with existing business. Same thing for a moving company. If you're in a small town, you're probably not going to be a successful moving company. Why? Because you're in a small town. People probably have owned their houses for generations and generations. Everybody in town knows each other. And people in those towns normally aren't moving. Those people are recluse. You know what I'm saying? They're used to living in small. They don't want to move. They're used to living in little towns where everybody knows their name. So you're probably not going to make it as a mover. You know what I'm saying? You're probably not going to make it as a final mile because there's probably no 3PLs in the area. The 3PLs are running routes that are coming from the major towns, and then they're coming out to those rural areas for an overnight run. There's not going to be an Amazon near you. So the only option you may have is to run over the road because you can do that from anywhere, right? But I've talked to people that didn't do their market analysis, right? That didn't do their market research, right? And had in their mind they were going to go do Amazon relay, went out and spent $65,000, $70,000 on a box truck. And then decided, okay, let me go find the nearest Amazon so I can go apply. And then saw that it wasn't one there. And these are real examples I'm giving you. I'm not making this stuff up. These are real examples that I've come across in my 13 months on YouTube. So lack of market research. And then ultimately when you don't do the research, you don't want to go over the road, then you fail. So lack of market research, something that's very important that people need to do before getting started. If you're in a major city, you still should do your market research, but you pretty much have access to any and everything. Not everybody's blessed to live in a large market as far as trucking is concerned. You may not want to live in a large market for other reasons, but if you're in a large market, you know that volume is going to be there because the population is there. So market research is very important. Number 7, lack of financial planning. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like working capital. Starting a business requires careful financial planning. Failing to manage finances effectively, including tracking expenses and cash flow, can lead to a lack of funds to cover expenses or invest in the business's growth. And this is lack of financial planning from the beginning and in the midst of. Goes back to what I was talking about a few moments ago. Financial planning at the inception, at the start of your business, having working capital, understanding, look, this is what it's going to take to get the business started, but I need this much working capital to get me through the ups and downs and the learning curve. I can't, okay, if it's costing me $10,000 to get in the business, DOT, everything I need, my rental truck, insurance, everything, it's costing me $10,000, or let's say it's costing me $9,000, and I got $12,000. So boom, I spend $9,000. All right, I got fuel, I got this, I got that, and plus I need money for what I call incidentals. Because you never know when incidentals are going to occur. And $3,000 is just not enough working capital in this business. At this time, anything can happen. So determining what lane you're going to run is ultimately going to help you determine how much excess working capital that you're going to need once you get everything up and running, like the stuff that you need to start the business, truck, insurance, things of that nature. Okay, now how much do I need in a pot? How much do I need in the pot? 3 months, 4 months, 6 months? Do I need an extra 25,000, 30,000? All right. Now, lack of financial planning once you have a business that's already up and operational goes back to what I said a few slides ago with the cash flow issue. Still, not a lot of people don't know how to pay themselves, which is detrimental to their cash flow. Not knowing how to pay yourself, right? People that don't know how to pay themselves 100% rob from the sustainability of their business because they're not paying their business. They have the mentality that the money that's left over after all expenses paid is what they get paid. And then when something arises in the business, they don't have the cash flow to, take care of whatever the problem is, right? So that's a lack of financial planning, all right? And that goes back to what I said, educating yourself on how to run a business, So I'm not going to get into that because I got lives that focus on each one of these things individually, but this live is just an outline. Okay, if you are in that situation or you do come across a situation where, you're having a downturn, you can come back and look at this and see this outline and start checking each one out. Okay, lack of financial planning, am I good? Okay, so on and so forth. So lack of financial planning is number 7. All right. Number 8, competition. Now, this may not pertain to every lane moving. It can pertain to a little in the final mile. It can pertain to a little bit in the middle mile as far as competing against loads on the load board. But like for moving, that's a competitive market depending on what market you're in. You know what I'm saying? Some people charge more, some people charge less. Some people have better reviews. Some people offer more services. So you have to be competitive. In order to be competitive, you have to provide great services and you have to stay abreast on what the competition is charging. All right. So the market for box truck services is highly competitive. Owner operators may struggle to differentiate themselves from other providers. If you can't offer unique service or a competitive advantage, you may find it difficult to win business. Competitive advantage is something that I've talked about in 2 or 3 live streams in the past. For Final Mile, my competitive advantage at my peak was always being a fleet owner. Being a fleet owner, middle mile and final mile is a competitive advantage. When we talk to the broker, I'm pretty sure the broker will explain to you how being a fleet owner when you're running middle mile is a competitive advantage in that lane. And final mile is a competitive advantage because I can always bail the 3PLs out. Whether it's providing an extra truck or whether I got, let's say, 3 trucks in a particular facility and owner operator from another company doesn't show up because his tummy hurts, like I was talking about earlier in the live, and they come and say, hey, Mark, can, this owner operator didn't come, his tummy's hurting, he has 10 stops for the day. Can we divide those up amongst your 3 trucks and we'll pay you for the full load? You know what I'm saying? So that's the competitive advantage. And, also brokers and logistics companies, and I've said this before too, they look at master contractors and fleet owners a little bit different than they look at owner operators. Now, I'm not telling you this to go out and buy a fleet of trucks so you can get competitive advantage, but they look at master contractors and fleet owners and they hold them to a higher regard because they feel like they have a little bit more business savvy. They're smarter than the owner operator. Now, this is not something I'm making up. This is something that is just, I've had conversations with people over time. I've heard other people say, I've heard brokers say it, 3PL owner, operations managers talk like this because in actuality, and I'm going to tell you why, and I'm just giving one example of competitive advantage. The difference between a master contractor or fleet owner versus an owner operator is a master contractor is responsible for a multitude of people and a multitude of vehicles, right? And 9.5 times out of 10, the master contractor is not on a vehicle because they're running a business, right? And their mindset is different. They want to get money. Every truck has to get money every single day. They don't deal with personal shit. Whereas an owner operator, if my tummy hurts, I'm not going to make it. They're going to have to figure it out. A master contractor doesn't have that mindset. So-and-so called off. All right, let me call. I got 3 people on call. At the end of the day, if master contractor gotta go hop on that truck themselves, they will. Because their mindset is always get to the money. That's how they became a master contractor or a fleet owner. Mindset is different. Mindset is totally different. And brokers know this. Operations managers know this. Dispatchers know this. And this is why master contractors are treated and fleet owners are treated differently, and they're held to a higher standard than owner operators. An owner operator should put themselves in the mind frame of a master contractor or a fleet owner, even if they're not a fleet owner or a master contractor. They should think like one and move like one. Give yourself that competitive advantage. You know what? So-and-so didn't come. Listen, they got 10 stops. You know what? We'll take 5 of them. I'll stay out the extra. Give me 5 of them. We can't do all 10 because we got 10, but we'll take 5. Not only are you going to make more money, you're showing that company that you're dedicated. So when things come up, new contracts come up, you know what? We got this new contract. We got you over there working on Office Depot, but we just got this Home Depot contract. You know, this contract is paying you $500 a day, and it's a 2-man contract. But we got this 1-man contract that's going to pay you $1,000 a day. So you're good with this Home Depot. Do you think you can add another truck? Does your helper got a license? So I mean, you can take this one route and you can take this one route. Now you went from making $500 a day to $2,000 a day. But the reason they presented you with this opportunity because of your work ethic, which gave you competitive advantage over the lazy person or the person who, when they come to and say, man, can you help us out? And they say no. This is one example of competitive advantage and how you can give yourself competitive advantage. There's other examples that I can talk about competitive advantage, but I've talked about competitive advantage a few times in the past. So I would suggest that you go look at those lives for competitive advantage. And that's how you kind of curve yourself around competition in those lane, middle mile, final mile. Moving, you already know what you got to do. Your rates got to be good. Your reviews got to be good. And you got to market yourself a little bit different. I market myself, and I've always marketed myself. Okay, so for college kids, like dorms, studios, 1-bedrooms, I don't market services to those smaller jobs the way we market to 3, 4, 5-bedroom homes, right? Because 3, 4, 5-bedroom homes, they know they finna spend a ticket. They know they finna spend a ticket. So you don't have to do any fancy jargon and finding ways to market to them where they're still paying for everything, but you're just changing the verbiage on them to trick them into, you know what I'm saying? Whereas you got to do that for the smaller, like the dorm room, instead of charging each individual fee. Okay, shrink wrap, tape, wrapping, this, that, and the third. You just start a truck fee and you include all that. Well, you know what? They're only going from this dorm to another. They're moving off campus. They're moving from on campus from a dorm to an off campus apartment, which is 2 blocks down. So, okay, boom. We're not finna spend that much gas. It's not finna be that much money. It's a dorm. We're not gonna do that much material. So I'm not gonna set it up. Well, okay, we're gonna charge them like we're charging. Yeah, the labor is gonna stay the same, but I'm not finna buy, all right, yo, so tape is this much, shrink wrap is this much. We're gonna do this for that, this for that. No, you just say, man, it's gonna be this much an hour, and it's gonna be $150 truck fee, in and out, because it's simple. It's not confusing, because your big companies are still gonna give them that breakdown. Listen, we don't have time for that. This is an easy 2-hour holler. We in and out. I'm not finna let this little 400-500 pass up, because that's a quick woo-wop, bam, thank you, ma'am, in and out, 2 hours. If you got a crew that's dogs that's about it, they probably can get it done in an hour and 15 minutes. You still get them the 2-hour minimum. Boom, you off to the next one. My job is to book the job. So I already know the mindset of a college dorm student or a parent that's paying for a college dorm student. They're not, I'm not finna hit them with all this technical jargon that you have to do for a 4-bedroom where they got 4 bedrooms, a living room, a family room. No, they already know they finna come out 3, 4, 5,000. So yeah, we charge you for everything because you're going to spend that type of money anyway. So that's the competitive advantage. Let these guys want to be all technical with the dorm and the studio. We're not finna be technical with them. We're gonna give them 2 prices: labor, truck fee. That's it. Boom. And they booking because it's less stress on them. They don't have to sit there and figure it out. Well, we got 3 beds, so they said they're gonna charge us to wrap 3. Nah, it's in and out. So yeah, so this is all inclusive fuel, mileage, because we know it's not going anywhere. Materials, they're not gonna spend because we're gonna make money on the materials on a plethora of other jobs. Boom, yeah, $150 for the truck, $100 an hour for the labor. What you want to do? Yeah, let's set it up. It's not okay, we got some other quotes and then we'll get back to you. No, you don't do that. So you have to know how to market yourself and give you that competitive advantage in different lanes. All right, let's get into turning a failing business around. All right. First thing you need to do to turn your failed business around is identify the problem. You got to identify the problem. Why are you failing? What's going on? Conduct a thorough analysis of the business to identify the specific areas that are causing it to fail. This may include financial management, which we've talked about, poor customer service. This can affect the business, right, in certain lanes, right? Outdated products or services, lack of marketing, etc. All right. Most problems I see in box truck businesses from middle mile and final mile is cash flow issues, either cash flow issues or excess or overhead issues, high overhead issues. All right. So finding what the issue is, right? Finding what the issue is and tackling the issue, whatever it may be. But the first step is to identify the problem. After you identify the problem, you're going to develop a plan. Once you have identified the problem, develop a plan to address each of them. If there's more than one, you got to address them all. Set specific goals and timelines for each area and identify the resources you will need to implement the plan. All right. If cash flow is an issue, you need to figure out what you're doing wrong as far as paying. You may have to pay yourself less. Maybe paying yourself too much. You may be paying yourself everything, robbing from the sustainability of the business. If your overhead is too high, then you need to figure out ways to reduce your overhead. If you have a fleet of trucks and you're having a problem, like a lot of people are, hiring drivers, then you're going to have to implement some type of incentives in order to attract people to apply with your company. You're going to have to give a sign-on bonus. You may have to pay more money. You may have to offer benefits. Whatever the issue is, you have to figure it out, one, right? Then develop a plan, all right, to fix the issue. Cut costs. Just talked about that, right? If your business is struggling because you have excessive cost or high overhead costs, then you have to cut the cost, reduce expenses where possible, evaluate expenses, and cut back on non-essential expenditures. Listen, if you're a middle mile trucker and your headset broke, right? And just things ain't working out right now, rates are low, or you're barely surviving, but you need a headset. You got some choices now. Is you gonna go get the Blue Parrot, or you gonna go on Amazon and get you a $50 holler? These are decisions that you need to make. You got to cut costs. If you're in this position where you need to cut costs, then you got to cut costs. You know what? I need some fuel. Okay, this fuel is X amount here, but 20 miles up the road, which I can make it, I got more enough fuel to make it. It's 15 cents cheaper, but I know I'm finna fill up, so that 15 cent is going to add up. So let me go to 20 miles down the road. You're not in a position, you may not be in a position at that time where first fuel station I see, I'm pulling over. You may like Love's because the showers are better, right? But the showers at Love's may cost the same as the showers at TA, but the fuel at TA is different. It's a lot lower, right? And we talking about a travel plaza where when you pull off the road, there's Love's right here and it's TA right across the street, and you got options. Well, you know what? I'm going to fill up at the TA, and then I'm going to go across the street to Love's and take my shower. Just things like that. Wherever you have to cut costs, then you got to cut costs. All right? So a lot of people have excessive costs, high overhead costs. Do whatever you got to do to cut costs for whatever it is you need to cut. All right, increase revenue. Another issue, another a way to turn your business around. Increase the revenue, and that's an easy answer for me. Increase revenue by exploring new markets, increasing prices, improving marketing strategy, and like I put in capital letters, and just simply putting in the work. Sometimes you have to put in more work. You have to work a little bit harder. You have to stay out a little bit later. You might have to work that extra day, depending on what you're doing, what lane you're in. You may have to travel a little bit further. You may have to be on the road a little bit longer. You may not be able to come back home to see Boo Bae for her birthday. You feel what I'm saying? You got to put the work in and work a little bit harder. Some people will, you know what? Well, as long as I make this much, then I'm straight. Well, it might not be enough no more to cut it. It may have been enough at a specific point in time, but we're not in those times no more. So now you may have to work a little bit harder to make a little bit more. And that's just as simple as it is. If you entered into this space and you have high overhead costs, you got to make more money. You got to make more money. Whatever you got to do to make more money. And most of the time means you just got to have to work harder or do things that you don't necessarily. I'm talking about legal things within the scope of legality, for running your business. OTR, run a little bit longer. As far as out on the road, a little bit farther. Stay out on the road a little bit longer. Final mile, you know what? You got two owner operators didn't come in. You guys got extra freight. Hey, operations manager, we'll take an extra. We got room. We can take about 3 more stops. We're going to get paid another $85 for each one of them stops. You know what? Moving company, you know what? Yeah, I'm running my truck Monday through Saturday, but we may have to work on Sundays. We may have to run it 7 days a week for the summer. We may have to work, you know what? Or we run 6 days a week, but the first falls on a Sunday. And the first is the busiest moving day because that's when the last day of the month and the first day of the month are the busiest moving days. So if the first falls on a Sunday and your company is closed on a Sunday, you may have to work that Sunday that the first falls. If it's June 1st is on a Sunday, then that truck needs to run. So whatever you have to do to increase your revenue, that's what you got to do, especially at the beginning. You don't have the luxury of saying what you don't want to do. That takes years. That's years down the line. And, you got to put yourself in a mind frame where you aggressively you have to proactively want to put in this work. If you're forcing yourself to go out and do these things to make your business successful, then you might want to reconsider this. Because I think back to my initial first years, and I wanted to go out and work every day, man, because I was making money. Every day I was checking a bag. I didn't want to leave. Me not working in them early years was like leaving money on the table, because I knew if I put an ad up, and this is the beginning, people were going to call. So if I didn't work, that was leaving money on the table because I knew that people were going to call. And I wanted to run my bag up so that I could go do all the things that I eventually ended up doing. So if you have to, man, let me go ahead and, damn, man, I don't want to do this. Let me just go ahead and just do it. If you got to do all that to pump yourself up, then, man, nah. You want to be a business owner, so at the beginning, you should want to do everything and anything that it takes to get to the money. You should be enthused to go do it. The opportunity presents itself. You should be happy that it's presenting itself. You shouldn't want to leave no money on the table. So you got to increase your revenue. If increasing your revenue is going to help turn your business around, which in most cases it will, the more money you make, the better off you are, then that's what you got to do. Seek outside help, which a lot of people do. If you are struggling to turn your business around, seek the help of outside experts. This could be include business consultants, mentors, and industry experts. Now, with this, you want to make sure you seek the right people or the right person or the right consultant. Do your due diligence. We had a whole live stream on the Wiseman podcast a few weeks ago about this, right? As a business person and seeking out consultation, seeking out mentors, seeking out help from industry experts, right? Not fake gurus, but industry experts. And when I say experts, an expert has tenure. You got to make sure that these people have tenure so that they can point you in the right direction and so that you can be successful. This is a business decision. So make sure when you make this decision, you do the proper due diligence, you do the proper research for the consulting firm or the mentor or the industry expert that you decide to go with, right? Because at the end of the day, you made that decision. It's not a personal decision. You're a business owner, so we hold you to a higher standard than a consumer. Consumer gets screwed, we feel bad. We don't feel bad for business owners because you should know better. Because business owners do the proper due diligence. So if you make a bad business decision and you invest in the wrong people, then that is solely, you have to hold yourself accountable for that. All right. But seeking help is a good way to help turn your business around because you can strategize. You can get strategy from someone who has maybe seen these economic downturns before, and they can kind of help you maneuver it. They can listen to what your issues are, and they can kind of pinpoint out what you're doing wrong and kind of get you on the right path to success. All right. But once again, make sure that when you seek out this help and this guidance, you do the proper research similar to what you would do when initially starting your business. All right. Stay committed. Turning a business around is a process. Stay committed to your plan and be prepared to make tough decisions along the way. I always say, running a business is problem solving. It's a lot of problem solving. All right. And like I said at the beginning of this live stream, success doesn't happen overnight, and it damn sure doesn't happen at the beginning of the business. This is something that happens a long time. For me to sit up here and talk to you guys, right, was a long time of work. It was a long time of experiencing different things. My introduction into business started in 1998 when I went to college and majored in business. So that was my first introduction to learning business. Introduction to business, introduction, accounting 101, accounting 102, international business, marketing, all the math courses, macro and microeconomics, right? So 1998 is when I started my education in business. 1998. All right. So you're talking about 25 years later. All right. Starting a business 2010. So you're talking about a person who has a long time, right? I can sit up here and tell you all the stories that I've went through in business. I can sit up here and do these live streams and these PowerPoints. And the reason why I can do this and why I can outlast a lot of people that have come and gone is because of that tenure. All right. So that's why I'm telling you, success doesn't happen overnight. It's a long process, a very long process. Before I started trucking, I had other businesses prior to that. You know what I'm saying? That just didn't didn't work out. I remember when cell phones were, I remember when Boost Mobile had just started in like '05, when the Game and Kanye and Jim Jones had that Boost Mobile commercial, like '05 or '06. This is back during the Nextel era. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all might not know what they're like. What the hell is a Nextel? Y'all don't understand about the chirp, but let me talk about it real quick. I had an eBay business back in the early 2000s selling cell phone cases. I used to get the cell phone cases from China for pennies on the dollar, and I would get them in, and then I would resell them on eBay. The business didn't do good because I wasn't purchasing them in volume. I wasn't getting them. I was getting them cheap, but I wasn't getting them cheap enough that I could outprice the competition that was on eBay. And then my turnaround time, right? Because back then I had to order from China. It was a different process back then. I'm waiting 30, 60 days, so I had to order enough. And then it was just a lot, but that business didn't work. That's just an example, just giving you an example that I've tried a multitude of things before I got into trucking. I had a full-blown studio, right? I would rent out the studio and charge people recording time, but I didn't know how to engineer. You see what I'm saying? So that was stupid on my behalf. Working hard, getting all this equipment. I had a Roland XB60. I had a Mackie 24-track mixing board. I had Cubase. This is before Fruity Loops. Now, some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. So I had all of that. I still got a lot of that equipment somewhere down in my mama's basement. But it didn't work out because I didn't know how to engineer. So I would have to outsource an engineer whenever I would book a studio session. And then I'm operating this out of my mama's basement. So, you got people that want to come in and record. Most people who rap want to come in 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and that went flying in the OG crib. So I had a good idea, but I didn't have the resources, all the resources that I need to make that business a success. You know what I'm saying? But that was just the adolescent business mind, right? But eventually I found something that worked for me, right? And then I was able to thrive from that and create up other opportunities and other lanes to make revenue. But saying that, I'm saying all that to say this, that in order to tell these success stories, right, you first got to do the work. And you can't tell a success story in the first year or the second year or the third year. It's not going to make for a good success story. It's going to be a real short, boring success story, right? You see success over a tenure of time, all right? But initially, you have to put in the work. And most people's success stories are the same. Bunch of failure, boom. You come up with something. You succeed, a bunch of hard work, and then it flourishes. You have to do the hard work at the beginning. And I see some people doing the hard work, and then I see some people that thinking things are supposed to just happen overnight, and it don't happen like that. Let me explain something to you. I was talking with Kurt the other day, offline, and we both agreed that I came into the industry in 2010. He came in 2011. It was a lot easier then than it is now. It's harder now. It's not easier now. There's more access to resources and opportunity now than it was. There was no e-commerce back then. We were in the very early ages of e-commerce. So there's a lot more opportunity now. There's a lot more resources for capital now, but it's harder now. So if I know how hard I worked back then, people that are coming to the space now have to work twice as hard. And if you're not willing to do that, then it's going to be hard to build and scale your business to success. And that's just what it is. And I'm going to take some questions, and then, man, I got to go see what KD finna do tonight, man. I got to see what KD finna do, because my money is on KD. But I don't know. KD ain't looking too good. I don't know what's going on. All right, so that's the presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope you found some type of value in it. But let me go ahead and scroll back up to the top. Exactly why I'm spending so much time watching, learning, and researching. Appreciate 3-3. What is going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Pippi in the building. Pippi in the building. What's going on? Zupchuck says that's all he thinks about while he's driving his business. In business, you better develop a pain tolerance. Definitely. Cornelia said, damn, man, you right on time. I hope I'm right on time for the right thing. Contract don't care if you don't feel good. Most definitely. They don't care. The logistics companies don't care. Let me explain something to you. If you going to call off, make a good lie, because when y'all be calling and talking about your stomach hurt, they be laughing at you. And they be laughing at you, and simultaneously while they laughing at you, I'm talking about for final mile, they're actively looking for your replacement. And that's no cap. That's no cap. So, you decide to be a business owner. You're not a worker. All right. So an employee can call off and do a business owner. The business has to operate. Listen, until the pandemic, you started seeing businesses close because there was a lack of employment. People don't want to come to work. People's minds set on work has shifted, right? But prior to that, when you go to a mall or you go to McDonald's or you go to Burger King, if one person calls off, that one monkey didn't stop no show. If you're in a position to go to work for your business and you decide that your tummy hurts, and I'm just using tummy because that's something that it's I feel like it's mild, right? And I just want to stick to the same example that people will not go to work for. That means you really don't care about your business. You should hold your business to the same standard as McDonald's, as Burger King, as H&M, as Zara, as Microsoft, as Amazon. People call off on Amazon every day. But the monkeys don't stop that show. Well, man, Mark, it's just me. I'm just the owner operator, man. Well, that's a simpleton way of thinking of it. That's a simpleton way of thinking about it. I remember one time I was on a move. This is a long time ago, early on. I was still on the truck heavily, like every day. We was doing a move and I broke something. It was a piece of glass, and the glass a shard of the glass jumped up. It was summertime. I had on shorts. Shard of the glass jumped up and cut my leg. Cut me bad. Guess what? Customer was paying $100 an hour. So you know what I did? I'm bleeding, but I got to get this stuff off the truck, right? Band-Aid wasn't helping it. Band-Aid wasn't helping it. I went into the back. I think we was at a storage unit. I rinsed it. I took some moving tape. I took the moving tape and taped my leg up. No cap. And finished the job. Drove the truck back to the yard. And then drove myself to the emergency room. I had to get that money because the job, we was at the drop off. I had to close that out. I have to get that bread. My leg can wait. I taped it up with some tape. You see what I'm saying? Listen, some of y'all just got to get that dog in you. You got to have that dog in you at the beginning. You could turn into and I'm talking about a dog, a pit bull, a Rottweiler. You could turn into Chihuahua later on once you successful things. You got multiple money coming in and you're comfortable. You can turn into a little puppy later. But at the beginning, you got to have that aggressive dog in you. And that's what it is. You have to have it in you. Kobe Curry in the building. What's going on? Long time no see. Things have definitely slowed down. My Staples contract hasn't been running every day since last week. But that's most likely could be because schools are coming to an end. Zupchuck, you're learning. You're absolutely right. So when we were running Office Depot, those contracts would slow down around May, June, and they would pick back up in August. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And this is new for you. So you're right. So yeah, so those contracts are going to slow down. Staples, Office Depot are going to slow down for the next 3 months. And then you're going to start seeing them pick back up in August. Wanda, I'm listening, paying attention, Mark. Wanda D. Austin. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook. BC Jackson, facts, the real ones here, more on that. Kai said, F them, talk yo shit, man. That's what I do. You know me, I'm gonna talk it, man. I'm gonna talk it. I'm gonna talk it whether people like it or don't like it. I talked it all last year and people didn't like it until they had to like it because I was right. A lot of people didn't like what I was saying last year, but then when I was right, people started to listen. It is what it is, though. Very informative content, Mark. Thanks for your time. Jay the Great, appreciate you. OMG, they keep going up on the authority with these companies. They better go find contracts. Augusta in the building. Shout out to everybody in Augusta. It's a fact. All is well. Tracy, all is well. Jim Hammond, Mark Speaks the Truth. Shout out to Jim Hammond. I definitely did. When I get rid of my high overhead, my business did a complete 180. I'm glad you was able to turn your business around, Jay the Great. Pippi says your mindset will plays a big part as well. If you expect bad, you will get bad. Definitely. The tow fees are no joke. My dude was stuck in the mud on a county road. The tow truck was already out towing. They charged $400 just to pull him a few feet. I've had to have a couple trucks winched. It's about $450. I had a guy. Oh man, this guy got stuck in the snow at the same delivery in the same spot 2 days in a row. I had to fire him after that. The first day was one thing, but the second day he was running Office Depot, so his route was the same. He got stuck in the snow at the same spot, the same stop. You see what I'm saying? Just goofball. And they charged me $450 each day. So yeah, it happens, but you gotta have that money ready. You can't just leave your truck there. So you gotta have that cash flow. You gotta have that bread. Them tow trucks rape you for real. Yeah, when they see it's a company, it's like they add more to the fee. Buy a truck, then find what you're gonna do with it. That's ass backwards. Definitely ass backwards, but you'll be surprised how many people I talk to that do that. Do you pay per stop or do you pay per day for white glove furniture appliance? You pay per route. So if you're an owner operator, you got your crew on the truck, you're gonna pay per route, which is similar to per day because they're only gonna do one route a day. So you would need to determine how much you're gonna pay them for that route. But the terminology, try not to say per day, say per route. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to get some slick guys that are going to be like, they may say, and it doesn't make sense, but they'll try to pull something like, man, you paying me $200 a day and I'm out here all day. Man, I've been out here. I have to be at the warehouse at 5:30. And man, I know every day ain't like this, but man, this route just taking long. It's 8 o'clock at night and I got to be back in the morning, man. $200 for the whole, you paying $200 a day? But if you say, and you have to be smart and outsmart. If you say $200 a route, it don't matter how long the day is. Man, listen, it's a route. This is what the route pays. This route today is just taking longer than the route yesterday. You see what I'm saying? So you learn this as you become experienced in business. The verbiage that even you use with your employees. So you want to don't say per day, say per route. White glove is usually paid per stop, depending. Not all companies pay per stop. You have some that pay a minimum per route, or a guarantee is what it's called. I've always operated on a guarantee. I've never, except when I did nonstop, which cross docking, that was the only time, and that stuff was coming out of my warehouse. Every contract that I've had, I've always got a guarantee. So guarantees exist, but they're not as prevalent as they once were. And in order to really get a guarantee, you have to offer a multitude of trucks. You got to be a master contractor, bringing in a fleet of trucks, and then you have that leverage to negotiate a guarantee. But I think she's talking about as far as her paying her employees, you want to pay them per route. So some days you're going to get more, some days you're going to get less. Obviously, it benefits them on the days they get less. The days it gets more, you may hear some griping and complaining, but it's a route. This is the route versus the day. The terminology, it's weird and it sounds crazy, but when these guys are frustrated, you'll be surprised some of the stuff that they'll call and complain to you about. So you just want to make sure that you using the proper verbiage. So you want to decrease as much opportunity for them to contest anything as possible. All right, so that glass of water look extra, man. You know what? I gotta go to Walmart, man. I ran out of water. I usually keep 2 or 3 cases of water, but I haven't been grocery shopping. Well, I have been grocery shopping, but I just been drinking a lot of water, so I've been running through water, and I haven't been to Walmart in like 2 weeks. So, let me see. Understand I'm late, but I'm here. Victor Martinez, John Navin at Cardinal screwed me. My business is failing right now. Hoping to get back on my feet with XPO. Victor, hit me up and let me know what's going on with Cardinal. Hit me up in the DM and let me know what's going on with Cardinal. I want to know how he screwed you. Let me see. Where we at? Let's do some 1-bedroom moves over the weekend. Okay. Tracy Price says, thank you for the gems. Thank you. Singular Wireless. Yeah, that's old school. Singular Wireless. Cellular One, Singular Wireless, Ameritech, Nextel, Prime Co. Man, come on, man. You taking me back to the late 90s and the early 2000s. Some of these cats don't know. I had a Nextel i1000, and then I had the Nextel i1000, and then I had a Nextel i90. Yeah, man. Come on, man. Hey, I had a Nextel i1000 in 98. I had a Nextel i1000 on my hip. I had a SkyTech. Was it SkyTech or SkyTel? I had the first I had the small pager, the little what was it called? SkyTel, the little funny colorful one, because I couldn't afford the big time port. Man, once I got me a time port, man, you couldn't tell me nothing, man. I had the time port and the i1000. I was like 19 years old. Man, you couldn't tell me nothing in 1999. I had a time port. I had a great time port. I had a Nextel i1000, and I had a Chevy Lumina. And you couldn't tell me nothing. My Chevy Lumina, my i1000, and my time port, man. Come on, man. I graduated in 1998. I remember me too selling phones on eBay, but eBay tried to scam me, asking for my info and my contacts. How I got there, I refused. They kept my 2K. Yeah, man. I don't like PayPal. I've never been a fan of PayPal. I don't even use PayPal. Kirk was telling me I need to offer PayPal on my website, man. I just don't like PayPal, man. I've never liked PayPal since the late 90s, early 2000s myself, so. Yeah, hit them like buttons, man. Get the like button. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. I would appreciate it if y'all hit that like button. My guy said Cubase, man. I'm an old school guy, man. Fruity Loops and all that stuff. Fruity Loops weren't even out back then. So I started, my mother bought my first piece of studio equipment. I was still in high school, so it was around 96, 97. It was, we were poor, so I used to go to this guy that I went to school with. His name was Cliff. He had a full blown out studio in his basement. We were poor, so my mother was a school teacher. School teachers obviously don't make a lot of money. She eventually started making a lot of money later on down the line, but in the 90s, she's, was still, basic school teacher salary, so I remember I wanted my own. I just got tired of going over. His name was Clyde, not Cliff. I just got tired of going to his house, and she didn't like me going over there. So she said, when I get my taxes, she took me to Guitar Center. She bought me a Mackie 24 track board and a Roland XP60 and an Alesis. I think it was an SR10 Alesis drum machine. It was a couple grand, like $2,000, $1,800 at that time. and she spent pretty much a large portion of her taxes. And Cubase was that was the software that a lot of people used back then. Fruity Loops wasn't out. Um, Fruity Loops wasn't out back then. So, but I'm an OG. Only producers know that. Yeah, yeah. So I don't make beats no more. That was in the '90s. I wanted to be I was a big fan of Mobb Deep, man. So all my beats sounded like Havoc, man. A lot of strings, man. A lot of strings in my beat. A lot of violins. Uh, you gotta ask yourself, do you want to be a businessman or a box trucker? I would hope when people ask themselves that question, they say businessman and they act accordingly. Act accordingly. Excellent info. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Gems dropped as usual. I like to learn whatever you say, and I refer people to you. I'm starting a dispatcher business along with working with my cousin in cargo van. Okay, shout out to you. Have a good night. Appreciate you for chiming in. Uh, did you do OTR? Did you start and find out? So I started moving first. Moving was the first business, and then the moving provided me the opportunity to start a separate business, which was the Final Mile business. I didn't know anything about Final Mile. Actually, I told this story before. Dynamics called me. This is the early stages of 3PLs getting contracts when companies were moving away from their own vehicles and they were outsourcing things of that nature. Dynamics had got this contract, and prior to Dynamics getting IKEA, Dynamics, most of their accounts were pretty much all of their accounts were smaller parcel, Office Depot, Granger, messenger service stuff. But they ended up getting IKEA because they saw the wave of the future, obviously R&D, and because their contractors were used to dealing with smaller packages, now having this contract that's dealing with larger pieces of furniture, they were doing a lot of damage. So somebody in corporate idea was like, we got to say this contract, we're going to have to outsource to moving companies. Moving companies are familiar with maneuvering furniture. And this is the way they presented it to me when they called me and had me come into this meeting. This is the exact words they were saying to me. We have to hire a moving company. So they presented it to me different than they would present it to an independent contractor, because they wanted me to bring 5 trucks on. And they basically were like, well, this is the number we're looking at, but what would it take? The number that they presented to me, they gave me 2 options. I took the option that I chose, which was the 500 guaranteed rate a day and 600 guaranteed rate on the weekend, which was Saturday and Sunday. Most of those days for IKEA was just 1 stop per truck. It only became, I only got multitude of stops on the weekend. Mostly Sunday and Monday were the heaviest days. Obviously, because people would go in on Saturday, and then they would pick next day delivery, which we would do all those runs Sunday, and then people would go in on Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, and then they would get next day delivery would be Monday, right? So Sunday and Monday were the 2 biggest days. Rest of those days were pretty much 1 stop. Tuesday would be 1 stop per truck. And this is the 5 to 9s. The mornings were heavier every day because you had people going into IKEA buying full kitchens for the contractors to come in and build. But that's how I got turned on the Final Mile. And then once I got into there, I had that under the moving company. And I'm like, I need to create a whole separate business for this, because that contract gave me the enthusiasm to research that industry more. And I saw companies like Select Express. There was a company called Excel back in the day. Back in that time, Excel had the Sears contract nationally before they switched over to MXD. And I'm like, man, this is a good lane, and this is all year long because moving is seasonal. So I created a whole separate company alongside from my moving company, and I created this Final Mile company, and I just grew it. I was already in business, right? I already had a successful business, so I had capital, and I was able to scale that business really, really quickly because Dynamics was giving me the opportunity to bring as many trucks as I needed. And I was doing so good with IKEA, they offered me Office Depot, and then next thing I know, I'm running 9 vehicles for Office Depot. I'm running 3 vehicles in the morning for IKEA for the morning routes, and then I'm running 3 vehicles in the evening for the 5 to 9. So by them giving me all the opportunity, that business just grew really, really quickly. And then I, started doing stuff for Select Express. And and other companies, and then that business quickly surpassed the moving company, and as far as revenue. So that's how I got started. That's the 2 minute story on how I got started. Uh uh let me see. Joseph P, what's good? What's good? What's good? Mark, can you get a water system installed? I got a water system in my refrigerator. I got a filtered water comes out the refrigerator. I just gotta go to Walmart, man. Give me a few more cases of water. I ain't had time because I was in. Kirk came in town last week, so I was running around with him on Friday. Then the next morning, after running around with him Friday night, I had to shoot to the airport, and then I was out of town Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Got back early Tuesday morning. Had to do the Wiseman podcast Tuesday, and I just been kind of getting back into the swing of things. So I need to go to Walmart. I'm starting my business next week. Mark, you are the best. Appreciate you. I managed that locked in with that direct shipper today, going in to do some paperwork Monday. Shout out, man. Glad that worked out with you. Pippi said it's Mark, not Mike. You know, when people put Mike, I usually don't correct them, but appreciate you correcting them for me. Appreciate that. Yeah, shout out to D Walk, man. Congrats to you, D Walk, for getting that direct contract. So you said you were getting served the shit end of the stick over there. They were putting 15 stops with over 80 pieces on my route and sending us 40 miles between some stops. You mentioned it earlier. We were getting back at 8 p.m. almost every night. Scared two of my helpers away. Wow, what market are you in, Victor? What market are you in? Shoot, 80 pieces, 15 stops. And what account 15 stops, 80 pieces, 40 miles in between stops. What account is this? And what market is this, Victor? Man, what you know about that Motorola Sidekick with the keypad? That was in the mid 2000s. I never had a Sidekick. I wasn't really a big fan of that T-Mobile Motorola Sidekick like that. By that time, I think I had a Trio and or an iPhone 1 or an iPhone 2. Mark, who do you know over at T-Force? They giving me the runaround. I've waited a month for the link. Now it's been 2 weeks after signing up. No background. Did you go there? I told you to go there. Everybody that I tell to go there directly, they get pulled in right away. I've said it multitude of times on my live streams that they're not responsive online on Indeed or their website. You have to physically go there. You got to go there. It was impossible keeping workers around because we were pulling 12 to 13 hour days and not being able to pay them enough. So let me ask you this, Victor. 12 to 13 hour days, which is normal for Final Mile. I can't speak to the 40 miles. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that I'm familiar with because of where I'm at. All right. So that's why I'm asking you what market you're in. What account was this? What market are you in? What account is this? Bob's Furniture. 40 miles. We was running in Boston and surrounding areas, Plymouth. So it's okay. So, all right. So basic. Bust this. So this is like what I always talk about. Whenever you're coming into a logistics company at the beginning and you're new, you're always going to, like you said, you're going to get the shit end of the stick. So if, let's say, for that particular terminal that you're running out of, they got 15, let's say they got 10 routes for Bob's, right? They got 10 routes for Bob's, and you come in and you get the available route, which is that 10th route. while they're looking for a contractor to get that 10th route, whoever had that route and let it go, right? Or whoever was running that route, and let's say somebody had a route that was way more condensed, or way more, it had a higher density. They lobbied for that route. So the new person that comes in is going to get the worst route that they have available, because the people that are there, when one person falls off or leaves or goes out of business or goes to another company, it's already somebody in line for that route if it's a better route than what they're currently running. So when you come in, you're not going to get the best route. In order to get one of the better routes, you got to stand the test of time. That goes back to what we were talking about earlier, competitive edge, leverage. Coming in with one truck in a logistics company, you're going to get the shit into the stick at the beginning. The guys that have been there for years running that account, they have the best routes. They got the best routes. So I hear you. I know what you're talking about. I can't put that on John because that's just how the cookie crumbles. It's just how it is, But, it's your business. You got to do what you need to do. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Shout out to, always give me one hater that gives me the thumb. I really don't understand how a person could give somebody a thumb. Like, you got to be a whole goofy. Where's my thing?
Yo, goof ass.
I'm spending my Thursday night helping people out for free, giving valuable information, and somebody comes in here. It's one person. It's the same person that does it all the time.
Yo, goof ass.
You see what I'm saying? Because your channel is failing or whatever. You
goofy as hell.
You goofy as hell. So I made those buttons just for cats like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. I appreciate you for helping me out, because the thumbs down is just like the thumbs up. It helps the algorithm either way. So I really don't care. But it just lets you know, like, to me, that's like some hater type stuff. Like, if I see something I don't like, I just don't say nothing. But to proactively hit a thumbs down, like, that's a real sucker. Like, that's some sucker. Like I've never hit a thumbs down button. I just either hit the thumbs up or I don't do nothing. That's like a hater, dude. This is like standing watching somebody. Man, look at him drive past, man. Man, he got a G-Wagon, man. Look at him, man. He think that's some hate. That's like some sideline and stuff, man. Goof ass.
Yo, goof ass. Goofy as hell.
Goofy as hell, boy. Stay off my live. Whoever it is. Or keep coming back. Whatever. I don't care. Let's see here. All right, back to the program. I walked in the door 2 or 3 times, and who you talking to? Did you get a name? You talk to the operations manager? What's going on? Sounds like white glove isn't the work for you. That sounds kind of like standard, especially starting out. See, Mo, see, that's what Mo saying. Same thing I'm saying. That's the standard. When you coming through the door, you're gonna get the shit in the stick route, because the people that are already in that warehouse have already lobbied and take those better routes. This man speaks facts only. Appreciate you. I understand you. I will keep grinding. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you, Victor. Appreciate you. I mean, if you're still in there, just thug it out, man. Just thug it out, because eventually somebody else will fall off, and then you can lobby for a better route. It's not a tenure. It is a tenure, but it's a man, when it gets late, man, the later and later it gets, man, I start thinking, damn, what's the word when damn, I know the word, man. When who's there the longest, man, I think it starts with an S. Why can't I think of it? Somebody help me out. What's the word? The people that are the longer, they get the seniority. Yeah. All right, it's based on seniority. So, the people who've been there, they got seniority, they lobby for those routes. So just thug it out. If you want, it's your business, And I'm pretty sure over time, now as far as the employees go, that's just the name of the game. Now, my next question I was going to ask you is how much you paying these helpers. But I don't want to ask you that online because I don't want to know. I do want to know, but I don't want you to answer in front of everybody else, because if you say a number and it ain't the number that I'm thinking, or if it's a real lowball number, I don't want the room to blow up on you, and I don't want to blow up on you in front of everybody else. So that might be something you might want to speak to me in private about, because it might not necessarily be that. If you pay a person the right ticket, hey man, people, you'll be crazy what people do, man. It's people out here doing some strange for a little bit of change. You dig what I'm saying? So if you pay a person the right ticket, they'll be liable to do anything. It's people out here, man, it's people out here offering people for under $1,000. You see what I'm saying? So you got to get that number. That number might not be right. You dig what I'm saying? So we might have to talk behind the scenes to see what that number is you paying those helpers, man. That might have something to do with it. Goofy as hell. Hell yeah, goofy as hell. Y'all like that?
Yo, goof ass.
Yeah, that's what we doing.
Goofy as hell.
Goofy as hell. Shout out to the one hater. James said, I wish I could give you 2 thumbs up, man. Appreciate you, man. Keep going back, man. Stand on business and get some names. Get some names and some direct numbers. Hey, do you guys have any opportunities available? Yes. Okay. I've been up here 2-3 times. I got a truck ready to roll. Can I speak to the operations manager? Is the operations manager here? See if you can speak to the operations manager. See if you can speak to the branch manager. Get acquainted. Get a name. Get a card. Call them directly. Leave voicemails. Trust me. If they need trucks, they will bring you in. I say it all the time. T-Force is the most unresponsive logistics company I've ever dealt with. But once you get in and you get contact, they'll pull you in. They're just not responsive for some reason. I don't know. And it's just not like that in my market. It's like that in every market. Mark, don't waste your time on them. No, I ain't wasting my time on them, but I took that as an opportunity to showcase my new buttons.
Yo, goof ass. Goofy as hell.
That was a great opportunity for me to showcase my new buttons, because these 2 buttons I'm not going to really push that often. You got to really, I'm not going to call nobody goofy that's my subscriber. I say you tweaking. But I ain't going to call you goofy. But somebody that I really just don't care about and they do some goofball shit, then
yo, goof ass.
And I notice I don't say, see, in Chicago, we don't say your goofy ass. We say your goof. We take the wow off, your goof ass. So
yo, goof ass.
So that was a good opportunity to showcase my new buttons, all right? So I appreciate them. I talked to a lady named Stephanie. She turned me over to Emily. Okay. Did you get a card? Hey, Victor probably out of here. Victor, say the number, man. They want to hear the number if you're still here. I'll break the ice. My driver gets 140. My helper gets 120. Whoa, for one contract, and 150 and 130. I ain't laughing at you, man, but that's kind of low, man. I don't know what market you in, but that, man, man, I don't think I can even get nobody to get out of bed for that type of money in this market. I ain't finna lie to you, man. So, hey, man, if you got people coming to work for that and they coming consistently, man, I can't trip. You know what I'm saying? You winning, but I want to know what market that is. I know it ain't Chicago. I know it ain't New York. I know it ain't Houston. I know it ain't LA. It ain't Atlanta. So let me know where it's at. It gotta be like in Iowa or Montana or Nebraska or something like that. I had a great uncle. He tapped out a man over a dime years ago. Wow. Can you do a video talking about warehousing and how to get contracted for warehouse? I did a live stream on it. I did 2 live streams on it. The one for cross docking. I talked about my warehouse. I talked about me cross docking. I did 2 lives on it already. I may revisit it again, but not soon because I think that's kind of advanced for a lot of most box truck people because it's a lot of people struggling operating one truck. So to get to a point of warehouse and cross docking, you first gotta be fleet level status, right? And you gotta know how to manage your own fleet plus owner operators, right? And then managing a warehouse is a whole nother animal, and the cost that's associated with managing a warehouse. So I think that's just probably a little bit too advanced for this industry right now, as far as the people that are on YouTube that watch the content. But if you want to talk to me about it on the side, I'm open to dialogue with you on the side. And while doing that, you might want to go back and look at the content I did about cross docking. I know I did a cross docking live November, December last of 2022, so about 6 months ago or so. And then I touched on it again, maybe within the last 2 or 3 months. But that cross docking live I did November, December, that I did the full breakdown. And I talked about the company that I got all the freight from, that middle mile meter freight that we ran final mile. Yeah, he's probably in a small market, All right, let me take a look at this poll. I forgot I got a poll running. How is your box truck or cargo van business doing at the moment? I got 35% said failing. I got 37% said breaking even, and 29% said all they do is win. That's 49 votes. So if you haven't voted, please go ahead and vote. All I do is win. At the beginning was winning by a large amount, but as I figured, I figured it would be a runoff between failing and breaking even, and it's kind of neck and neck, 35, 37%. So if you haven't voted, make sure you go ahead and vote. Let me do some quick math real quick to see what that number is. So we got 49 votes, and it's 37%. So about 18 people are breaking even out of that 49. 17 people are failing out of that 49. And 14 people are winning or doing good. So it's kind of neck and neck. So if you haven't voted, vote. Somebody else just voted. Somebody else just voted that they're failing. So that tied it up. So failing and breaking even is tied at 36%. And all I do is win is at 28%. All right. Mo, I'm in Memphis. My contract guys have been more loyal than my movers have been in the past. Contract guys are a little bit more happier than movers. And it's not because of the consistency. It's more because of moving is harder. It's a lot more tedious. With final mile, you may be dealing with a tough refrigerator, but once you move it in, it's there. With moving, with final mile, with moving, you may have an armoire that's huge as hell. Like I'll never forget it. Like in my first 2-3 years is back when I was still out on the truck. So it had to be like somewhere between 2011 and 2012. It was this guy who was rich. He was a doctor, surgeon, mansion, 4 or 5 car garage, enclosed 4 or 5 car garage, epoxy garage floor, just beautiful home. This dude had the largest armoire I've ever seen still to this day. It was a Ralph Lauren. This was back when Ralph Lauren was making furniture. I'm not sure if Polo still makes furniture. This was a Ralph Lauren armoire. Man, this thing was heavy as all outdoors. The dude said it cost him $20,000 and it was 20 years old at that time. So this is 2011, 2012. It was 20 years old at that time. And he said he paid $20,000 for it. So in 1972 or 1982 rather, right? Well, wait, this is 2012, 1992. I'm tripping. So sometime in 1992, between 92 and 93, this dude spent $20,000 on an armoire. All right. And when I say that thing was heavy, it was heavy. So the thing with final mile versus moving is once you get that one item in, you're done with it. With moving, we had to move that armoire out, and then we had to move it in. So we're touching the stuff twice. So it becomes a little bit more tedious. With final mile, man, once we get this thing in, we done with it. We could have 8 more stops that are just as hard, but once we're only touching that item one time going in versus maneuvering it out and then having to maneuver it in. You know, when on those moves in Mo, you probably know, you got that move where it's that one item that don't nobody want. You move it out. It was hard moving out. And no matter where the item is on the truck, even if you got to move that out the way and clear the whole truck off and you leave that for last, and then the whole truck is clear, and then it's that one item, and then, man, what's left? Is that everything? No, man, that arm wire. Then you just see everybody hands on hips and damn, man. Then you done push that to the side, worked your way around it, and you got to deal with that one piece. And I think ultimately that's why, I've seen the same thing, you know what I'm saying? The final mile, they're a lot more happier than when they're doing the move. So I think that's why you only got to touch the stuff one time. Thanks, Mark. Me and my partner will be getting a mentorship real soon. Who you getting a mentorship with? Who you going to go get that mentorship with? Hey, Mark, is T-Force contract, is it 7 days a week, and do you have someone always covering for you if you can't show up? So it depends on the contract you get with T-Force. Some of the contracts are 5 days. IKEA, well, they don't have IKEA no more, but when I was running IKEA for them, it was 7 days. So it all depends on the contract. Some contracts are 5 days, some are 6, some are 7. As a contractor, it's your responsibility to cover your route. So if you have a 5 day, 6 day, or 7 day contract, it's your responsibility. You're a business owner. If you have a restaurant and you're open for business 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., it's your responsibility to open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you're an owner operator with a contract and it's a 5 day a week contract, it's your responsibility to make sure that truck is there Monday through Friday. All right. Covering for you, yeah. I mean, if you're just starting off, you got one truck. My advice would be to have 3 people. I would rotate my helper, and I would make sure that one of my other person has a driver's license. Right. So if one person calls off, I got another person on call, and vice versa. If you have to call off, which you should never call off as the owner operator, you got a person ready. And when I say you should never call off, I mean you should never call off. At the beginning, it's imperative that you're there. It sounds crazy. It sounds whatever, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. No days off, especially at the beginning. You have to build your business to the point where you have the infrastructure, where you have the manpower you can facilitate them and move them around if need be when things arise and people call off. But if you have minimal resources, and when I'm talking about resources as far as bodies, people, then some days you're going to have to thug some stuff out. But regardless of the fact, if you're running a contract 5, 6, 7 days a week, whatever, no matter what the contract is, it's your responsibility to make sure the truck is there at hell or hot water. So how you structure your business as far as what you do in cases when situations arise where people don't show up. That's something that needs to be pre-planned out, pre-scheduled out, and have a plan in place so that you can feel a body in that seat. And it has to be somebody that has already been background checked with that company, right? Because you just can't send anybody off the street. You just can't pick up somebody at Home Depot. There was once time back in the day you could, but not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah, hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. 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 Everything is on the third floor and moving. It seems that way. It seems that way, but as your years of experience and your years of operating the business, becomes prevalent to your consumer, then you just start charging a third floor fee. So for years, I didn't charge a third floor fee until 2018, 2019. I started charging a third floor fee, mainly because people started complaining. So I had to do something to give an incentive to motivate people to want to do third floor. So, and that just goes back to what we talked about earlier. There was a problem. The morale was down. People didn't want to do third floors. They wanted to know what day was coming up the next day, so they would see if it was a third floor, so they'll know if they need to call off or not. All that goofball stuff. You see what I'm saying? All that goofball
Yo,
stuff.
goof ass.
And they was goofy as hell. And I had to do something to deter that. So I went up on the price for third floors. And it was not something I was worried about because I knew people were going to pay it. They had no problem paying it because a few things happen with third floors and moving. Companies call off the day of the move, right? Especially if you have a third floor that's not first thing in the morning. If you're an afternoon or an evening third floor, chances are the company's going to call off. The crew is just not going to show up. So I would make sure that all my third floors were booked in the morning to the best of my ability, and I would offer an incentive. And I went up significantly on third floors. And the rate we went up, the difference was paid and divided amongst the movers. The company didn't take any of that excess money. That incentive was solely provided to the movers. So, my third floor moves are paying $50 to $60 an hour. So, yeah. So my movers on third floors, they make $50 to $60 an hour. So if it's a one-sided third floor, meaning let's say a basement or a first floor to a third or a second to a third, I charge a certain type of way versus a third to a third. Third to a third is going to pay high. We're going to charge higher than a first to a third or a second to a third. We've done third to fourth, so fourth to third. Here in Chicago, we got fourth floor walk-ups. So they even pay even more. And they understand that, we know it's going to cost. We've called 3 moving companies, and they don't even want to do the move. And are you guys going to show up? And I usually say, you know what? Look what we're charging you. Truck is going to be there. Are you sure? Look at what we're charging you. Truck is going to be there. So for $50, $60 an hour, they showing up. You talking about a third floor 1 bedroom or a third floor 2? Let's say a third floor 2 bedroom. That's 6 hours. Third to third, that's 6. That's a $60 an hour job. That's a $360 for the crew per person, right? And then 9 times out of 10, they're gonna get a tip. Usually for them third to thirds, it could be anywhere from $50 to $150 a man. So that 6 hours can turn from $360 to $450, $400, $450, $500 6-hour day. So yeah. So it's what it is. You just charge the customer more, and then pay the guys more, and they're gonna come to work. That's all you gotta do. See, things like that. I've never worried about those types of things because I know how to get a person up off their ass. Just pay them more and just charge it to the customer. You know. We are finding that movers think being driver helpers for installations are a cakewalk. It is a cakewalk, Pippi. You know, I've said that plenty of times. When I first started Final Mile, and I introduced that to the moving crews that I had when we started Final Mile in 2013, 2012, 2013. When they started that IKEA, they was like, man, this is it. They didn't want to go back to moving. So I had to be strategic on who I brought over, how you can do this some days, but then some days you got to do moving. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a cakewalk. It's a cakewalk compared to moving. It's a cakewalk. I swear you the real deal. You ain't lied once, man. Nah, man. I go back to the experience, man. I've been in this, doing this for a long time, man. Long time, man. A lot of experience. Appreciate you though. Appreciate you though. I'm rolling at Mark when he said, "Who you going to get that mentorship with?" Yeah, because I don't do mentorship. That's why I'm asking. Like, who you gonna get it with? You know what I'm saying? So I don't do mentorship. I just do coaching, consulting. Yeah, I don't do this when I'm curious. Whoever you get it with, make sure you check their Google reviews or something. I don't know. Turn that failing or breaking even business around by hitting that like button. Yeah, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. Good brother, what up, what up, what up? KD getting smacked. Oh, man. I don't know what's up with KD, man. He came over to Phoenix to help Chris get a ring, and it seemed like every time Chris get in the playoffs, he get hurt. I just don't know. I think Chris, man, might just be jinxed. Kenan Wright just got a contract with Lowe's this week. Congratulations. Congratulations. Me and my partner would love to get mentorship by you, Mark. I only do coaching, consultation. So I don't do a mentorship, just coaching and consultation. If you want to do a coaching or consultation with me, just go to my website, www.boxtruckcourses.com, and just pick you a 30-minute or 1 hour coaching session, consultation. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunately or fortunately. It's fortunate for me. It may be unfortunately for a lot of people, because a lot of people ask me to mentor them. Like every day I get at least one or two people that come into my DM or my Facebook Messenger or email me and ask me for mentorship and offer me a large amount of money. I just don't do it because I say it all the time. I don't really have the patience, right? I don't have the patience to do a lot of the tedious Googleable stuff. So we say the word Googleable over here. It's not a word, I made it up. Googleable. If it's Googleable, I get irritated when people ask me Googleable questions. All right. So, and I understand with mentorship, you got to hold people's hand from the beginning. And I'm not the person for that. I ain't going to hold you. And I'm an honest person. I could easily take people's money, lots of it, 5s and 10s and 20s or whatever these guys charge. But if I did it, you'd actually get value and you'd see results. I don't do it because I don't have the patience. I don't need the bread. And I think I got enough content out there for free that if you watch my content and you comprehend it, you should be able to get into the business and be okay. Now, for the Googleable stuff, I have a $25 tutorial on my website, www.boxtruckcourses.com, that will point you in the right direction of the DOT, the BOC, insurance, things of that nature. It's a 40-minute tutorial. And it's not something that was purchased off of Fiverr. This is actually me talking on it. You dig what I'm saying? And you got some video footage of, some screen video footage of me showing you, pointing you in the right direction on that stuff. That's the best I can do. My coaching and my consultation is basically primarily for strategy, intermediate and advanced strategy to kind of either turn your business around, see what your having issues with, pinpointing the problem, and giving you a plan on how to turn it around, right? Or strategizing with people who are doing okay, they're looking to take their business to the next level. That's my specialty. I don't mentorship. You got to hold people's hand and make yourself accessible. When you're charging people this types of money, you have to be accessible. I don't want to be that accessible. See, I'm the guy that's going to be honest and keep it 1,000 with you. I don't want to be that accessible. I don't have that patience for the Googleable stuff, and I rather do the intermediate and advanced things. I rather turn people's businesses around if they're failing, or help people scale their business and grow it to the next stage. But yeah, so I don't do mentorship. Never have, never will. And then another thing is, like I always say, I don't want to get caught up in, because here's the thing, like I always say, you could put the work in and actually do the mentorship, and the person may not actually go do the work, but then they're ultimately going to blame you. So my name is very important to me. So if I see something, a business model that I can't 100% guarantee myself that the results are going to be there, because I can't guarantee that you're going to do the. I can guarantee that I'm going to give you all the information that you need to be successful, right? But I can't guarantee you're going to do the work. So that business model for me is not something that I want to do, because my name is on the line. My name is more important than a business model that I can't guarantee. A moving company is something I can guarantee. You hire us, you pay $200, $300 an hour. There's going to be a truck there. There's going to be some guys there, and they're going to get to work. All right. 90% of the time, something, things are going to go cool. Nothing's going to end up broken. The wall isn't going to get scratched, but it's moving. I understand it's going to happen. It's going to happen eventually on the job. A wall is going to get scratched. A wall is going to get nicked. A floor is going to get scratched. Something's going to break. It's going to happen. All right. But at the end of the day, I can guarantee the job is going to get done. I can guarantee the truck is going to be there. The job is going to get done. That's a business model I can put my name on. Even if something gets scratched, I can replace it. I remember last summer, I bought a lady a brand new TV. I've gotten floors fixed. I've gotten walls fixed. It happens, right? I can guarantee it. I can't guarantee that I can give somebody the game, the whole thing. But if they don't physically go out and do the work, I can't guarantee that, even though I gave it to them. So, and ultimately, like I said, they're gonna point the finger. So no, I don't. That's why I don't do mentorships. So my name is more important. So, but yeah, coaching and consultation I do. Just go to www.boxtruckcourses.com and book you a 30-minute or 1 hour. All right. Good third floor move advice, Mark. Nah, no problem. Mark does not do mentorships. There you have it. My service dropped before I heard your response, but I'll go back and watch it later. All right. Because I don't even know what you're talking about, what response. So, yeah, you might have to just hit the replay. Why the sound effects? Why not? Sound effects make the live more entertaining. And I got sound effects for specific situations and specific people. All right. Over here, we coin terms. You tweaking. It's very important. It's a very important term we term. Now we're gonna put your goof ass, or you goofy as hell. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna term that in this box truck genre. And I got some more things that I'm gonna start implementing in too. So, gotta have some sound effects, man. Gotta have some sound effects. No, I heard you say that, Mark, but I didn't hear you. You know, some things go into your subconscious and you don't realize where you got it from. True that. True that. True that. All right. So, man, this was a very informative live. It was good. The interaction at the end was good. This poll is tight, man. I don't know if I should end it. If you didn't vote, go ahead and vote so I can end this poll. Right now, you got 34% failing, 34% break even, 31% is winning. Oh, man. If you didn't vote, let me get 2 more votes. Let me see if I can end it with 60 votes. It's 58 votes. Let's see if I can end it with 60 votes to break this tiebreaker. I really don't want to end the poll on a tie. But I kind of figured it was going to be like that, like I said earlier. Hit that like button too. I'm going to give it a minute. If you just came in and you did not vote in this poll, vote in this poll. How is your box truck or cargo van business doing at the moment? I'm failing, I'm breaking even, or all I do is win. 58 votes. Let me see if I can get 2 more votes. Hit that like button. 59 votes. Somebody just voted. 36% failing. 34% is breaking even. 31% is all I do is win. I need 1 more vote for somebody who didn't vote. All right, there goes 60 votes. 61 votes. All right. I ended it with 61 votes. All right, so there's the results. 36% is failing, 32% is breaking even, 31% is winning. So, like I figured, a lot of people are failing. So, that was the reason why I did this live. So, hopefully, you know, at least one person got some type of value from this live, and they can take some of those key points and, you know, start checking them off, going through them one at a time, checking them off, and maybe kind of implementing them into their business to hopefully kind of turn their business around. If you're in a lane and that lane is not working for you, you may want to consider and research some other lanes. Make sure you do your market analysis, know where you're at, know what works for you or doesn't work for you in your market. Everything else I talk about, make sure you're doing that too. And ultimately make sure you're putting in the work. You know, you got to put in the work. If you have time to do fun things and you're in your first, second year in business, you may disagree with me, but you're not working hard enough. If you have time to do fun things, if your business is failing and you have time to do fun things, you're not working hard enough. If you checked I'm failing and you've been on a vacation, you're not working hard enough. If you're failing and you're having fun, I don't care what you're doing. If you're finding time to have fun and do extracurricular activities and you have the time to do that, you have the time to work harder. All right. At the beginning, it's hard work, no play. So, you know, you may disagree, but that differentiates the person who is gonna get to the promised land and the person who's not. You know, person who's gonna get to that promised land gonna get to that money, and they're gonna put everything else on the back burner. So it is what it is. I appreciate everybody. Real shameless plug, real quick before I get out of here. Monday is gonna be a very important live. It's gonna be a very important live. We've pulled some major strings. And we're going to have a broker. We're going to have a broker on the Wiseman podcast Monday. And we're going to ask all the questions that you guys want to know all the answers to. And you're going to get some answers probably that you probably know that you're probably not going to want to hear, but you're going to hear them. And we're going to put a lot of these myths to bed. All right. And you're going to hear it out of a broker's mouth. We're going to conceal his identity so you won't see the broker. We're going to use an alias name because we don't want him to get fired from the company that he works for. And even the name that you see here, some of you are probably squinting trying to make out that name. I had the graphic designer do that on purpose. So even if you can make out that name, that's even not his real name. All right. So I did that just for aesthetic purposes to just let you know how serious we are. Going to be about concealing the identity. Whistleblower broker from large brokerage firm exposes inside secrets. So the Wiseman podcast, and this is why I like the Wiseman podcast. Sundays and Thursdays, I do my education thing. But on Monday, I get to do the cool stuff that I want to do on Sundays and Thursdays, but I don't want to take away from the value that I bring to people on Sundays and Thursdays that really need the educational aspect of my knowledge base, right? So Monday is when I get to do the cool stuff. And we're going to get to it Monday, all right? So we're going to get to it Monday. You're going to hear some things you probably don't want to hear. You're going to hear some things, you may be getting taken advantage of. You may not be getting. We're going to get into it Monday, so just make sure you're here. I'm going to really promote this heavy over the next few days because I'm really looking forward to this. We will be talking to a broker, so Kirk will probably lead majority of the conversation since this is more of his lane. I'll throw in my 2 cents here and there, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to get to it Monday. So, yeah, we're going to conceal his identity. Like I said, we don't want him to get fired from his job because we're going to get real technical. We're going to we're going to get to it. You see what I'm saying? We're going to get to it. So we're going to get all the information out that y'all want to know. Just remember where y'all saw it. D Wall said Joint's about to have 100 people in the live. We'll see, man. The box truck industry, as far as YouTube, that interest isn't there no more. Y'all see it. Y'all don't see people putting up videos no more, or putting up videos spaced out, not as often as they used to. Even me, I'm proactively still putting out content. I'm doing 3 shows a week. I don't put out as much videos as I used to because I think I've kind of oversaturated. I just put out a lot of content. I have ideas for videos, but it's easier for me to talk on a live stream because I can engage with you. But even with me doing 3 shows, you gotta understand the time it takes. The Monday show, it takes time. Tonight's show, it takes time to produce it, to put it together. So 3 shows a week. So I'm active still. In comparison to a lot of people that aren't here anymore, people that are still here, just not putting out that much content anymore. And even me being active, the numbers are down. The interest isn't there no more. The popularity isn't there. And I said this would happen. It spiked back up a little bit, not near to where it was during the pandemic. At least when I came in on a decline, and it was heavy. So I could only imagine if I started my channel in 2020 or 2021. But, going into tax season, I saw a spike go up. And then as soon as tax season went, it went back down. So the interest isn't there. So 100 people in a live. We had 87 people Monday night. If we get 100 people, we get 100 people. I put in the keywords a lot of trucking, semi-truck. So maybe we can get some traffic from semi-truck drivers since this affects them too. So maybe we will see 100 people in the chat Monday. Either way, the replays normally do pretty good. So I'm just happy that I can provide this content for you. I can pull some strings and, move and shake behind the scenes to get these people on. And I think this is a very important one, because this seems to be, next to scams, this seems to be the next biggest thing. So to have an active broker within a large brokerage firm that you guys use every single day, come on the channel and have an open, candid conversation. I think that's very it's very important for the culture, and I'm just happy that I'm able to do that. All right, so make sure y'all here Monday. I'm currently getting freight from Chicago sent to my warehouse in Minneapolis. I would like to talk to you more because they need help in your area with home deliveries. Yeah, just hit me up, man. Hit me on a DM or hit me in the Facebook Messenger or email me. Here's my email if you want to email me, mark@thementormark.com. Mark@thementormark.com. Yeah, so email me, DM me. My DM is at the top where you see the Instagram logo, Mark_the_mentor_. And then you can message me on Facebook at Mark the Mentor. You can find me on TikTok too. Well, I don't really be on TikTok, so email me or hit me up on one of those. All right. Other than that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle. I see y'all Sunday. Then again, like I said, Monday we're gonna have a broker. Other than that, man, I think that's it, guys. Appreciate all y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button on the way out. Hopefully, y'all found some value in this live. Peace out.